talk about something cool that has caught our attention. It's JTM. Welcome everybody, let's dive right in.
Hey.
Welcome back. I'm one of your hosts, JH. I'm here with Siarn. Welcome to the Home Plus Life podcast. If you haven't tuned in before, welcome. Thank you for jumping on board and tuning in. We got some cool stuff to talk about this week. We've had a bit of a break because, of course, I went on the road trip and we had a bit of a break. So we're back in our little makeshift studio and we've got some pretty cool stuff to talk about over the next couple of weeks.
We do, and I'm actually proud of myself because I was the one that thought of the whole run.
Yeah.
Well, not the run sheet. You did that, but I gave you the topics.
Yeah, you've come up with the topics. We've got topic this week and then a JTM, but then the next 2 weeks after that, we have no JTM because we're diving into what 2024 might look like.
Yeah.
So that could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. But what are we talking about today?
So today, the real estate stuff is going to be foreign investor tax and impact.
That's right, because
on our market.
The federal government, so the Labor Party's put forward a motion to basically incentivize foreign investors not to have their properties vacant, but also to try and limit the impact of foreign investors in the market.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. And then what are we talking about in the JTM?
And then the JTM, we're going to be looking at the year that was. And it's going to be a little bit of a game for you.
Oh, God.
Because you've already said, I don't even know what happened in November. So
it's not that I don't know what happened in November. It's that being Aspie...
And that he's an old man.
No, being neurospicy, time is
and
a really fluid concept. So if I don't have anchor points, you could say to me, something really important happened on the 14th of November, and I'll have no idea what it was.
I can't even remember that sort of stuff.
But if I've got an anchor point, I'll be fine. So this could be interesting. But anyway, before we jump into that, I think, all of the uncertainty in the property market, everything that we're seeing, it's up, it's down, there's interest rates, all that sort of stuff. It's why I built Check My House Price. I built Check My House Price at the tail end of the GFC. Mm-hmm. And the whole reason I did it was to address the confusion in the market, to help demystify things, and to arm homeowners with a house price report that allowed them to make fully informed decisions based on accurate information. And that's the most important thing. Regardless of whether you're staying, you're going, you're looking to invest, doesn't matter what the reason is, starting with a house price report arms you with the information you need to make a fully informed decision. So make sure you check out checkmyhouseprice.com.au, or if you're one of our many New Zealand listeners, checkmyhouseprice.co.nz, and get yourself a free house price report. So whatever your next step in your property journey is, you're making it fully informed.
Yep, because knowledge is power.
Absolutely. All right, so what are we talking? Let's jump in. Foreign investors.
Foreign investor tax and impact. So you've got here potential impact. Let's talk about that first. How
about we jump out? I'm gonna.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Give me the run sheet, and then decides not to do the run sheet.
No, we're gonna do the run sheet. We just the notes I put on the run sheet in different order. But
why'd you ask me then?
Let's lead off. Let's lead off. At the start of this year, Canada banned foreign investment or foreign buying for 2 years. And it was in response to the post-pandemic madness. They've had similar price rises and housing crisis issues that we've had here in Australia. They had a similar response to the pandemic, similar economic response and similar housing response, similar market response. And at the beginning of the year, they came out and Justin Trudeau, the president or Prime Minister of Canada, came out and he said, we're going to ban foreign buyers for 2 years to try and ease this crisis and ensure...
I do remember the uproar. There was quite a few people that are just like, why the hell are you doing that? And then there was also the flip side of it where people were like, this is what we need, which is pretty typical in a democracy.
Well, the big question from Your Investment Property magazine, an article they wrote back in January in response to the Canadian ban, was should Australia follow suit? And it's a really interesting proposition because foreign investors have been made the scapegoat for a long time. for a long time.
Because there's not necessarily anyone to actually represent them when it comes to talking about stuff.
What I find interesting is if we look at this and we were to ban foreign investors, so this new tax that's being introduced is looking to, my understanding is it's looking to tax foreign owners if they leave the property vacant.
Yeah.
So it's looking to increase, but it's also looking to make it harder to purchase property and also increase stamp duties and taxes.
It's ensuring that at least tenancy is occurring.
Yes, because there's a lot of talk about all these vacant properties around Australia. So the million vacant properties, that we've talked about previously, is coming back into the vernacular, into the narrative. And it does. It kind of happens on a cycle, right?
Yeah.
And the first cap off the rank in any media cycle is to go after the foreign investors. Now, I'm not saying that this move by the government's a bad one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not going to be the be-all and end-all.
No. And there's some numbers behind this that I think we really need to understand. So they're looking to disincentivize foreign investors from buying property in Australia in order to relax demand a little bit or ease up on demand. And also so that, locals have more chance to kind of cool the skyrocketing prices. This creates beautiful headlines.
Yeah.
I also have to tip my hat and say, fair play, you're actually doing something to address demand. What I don't like about this is the way that it's being presented as a be-all. Like it's a major kind of cog in the housing crisis machine, and we're going to be able to win the battle because we're going to stop this cog.
Meanwhile, when you actually look at the numbers, you realise that it's a minute cog.
Well, look,
which still has an effect, but it's not bearing all of the weight.
Let's look at the numbers. Foreign investment and foreign ownership of residential property is estimated to be 2.5 to 4%. And this was stated by PRD real estate chief economist, Dr. Diaswati Mardia Simo. Apologise for massacring your name, doctor. Who stated that around 2.5 to 4% of Australian residential property is foreign owned. So that's a fairly small percentage for starters. Now, the trend of foreign ownership, and I've got the Register of Foreign Ownership of Residential Land here from the Australian Government, the Australian Taxation Office, the report done for the period 1st of July 2020 to 30th of June 2021, so the 21 financial year. And it showed that in that period, there were only 5,310 residential real estate purchase transactions that had a level, and the exact wording here is, transactions had a level of foreign ownership with a total value of 4.2 billion. It means that it wasn't necessarily entirely foreign owned.
Yeah.
It had a level that needed to be reported. Okay. So, but that seems like a lot on the surface if we say 5,310. However, if we put that in perspective, there were 588,000 residential real estate transactions in that financial year, in 2020 to 2021.
Yeah.
This is less than 1% of the transactions were foreign investors.
Hold on. So, okay, now that I know the numbers, because we had a talk about this earlier on today, now that I know when the numbers were pulled, so you could have it where someone puts down that they are, let's say, from Singapore, right? Where they may technically be an expat. And we know what actually happened in 2020 and 2021, where not all borders had opened. And even though...
Well, 2020, the borders were closing. Like that whole year, they were all closing.
But the...
were closed.
Yeah, but what I'm saying here is that you may have had someone come back from, let's say, Singapore, and technically, yes, they are...
Not if they're an Australian citizen. So this is foreign owners who are not Australian citizens.
Yeah, but you also said that they're at some level. So
Yes.
they could have come back, but they also had a partner who was actually... a resident of another country. However,
if it was in joint names, if it was in
right.
joint names, and that second person was potentially a foreign citizen, I'm not sure how that would show, if that would show up here. I can't tell you that for certain because there's no clarification on the data.
Yeah, because we did talk about it, and you were like, there is a portion of that where we can't say exclusively as to how much of that 500,000 or however many thousand
the 5,000,
that was actually occupied or tenanted.
No one can really find. So the numbers that get thrown around are they expect that there's 10% of Australian property that are vacant.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking that 1.1 million.
Which is still concerned. Which is the reason why they're bringing in the Airbnb tax and all the rest of it.
It is still of a concern. However, if we look at this and we go, well, 2.5 to 4% are foreign investor owned. That means that most 440,000 properties in this country, residential properties, are investor owned.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's fine. The vast majority of those are tenanted or they're not vacant, is my point.
Yeah.
Okay. Or they're not livable.
Yeah.
So even if you have like 1 in 4 of them is being vacant and held deliberately vacant, because one of the things that I did read, I think it was in a financial review report, is that particularly people from China will purchase a property, an apartment usually, they'll leave it vacant because the returns are so low, both in capital and also tenancy returns compared to what they're used to. Like they're used to these low returns in China, that just the capital return that they get on, like the capital growth that they get on an apartment or a property in Australia far outweighs any return they'd get in China. And so therefore it incentivizes them in a way to leave the property exactly as, don't put tenants in, because in their mind, tenants put wear and tear on the property and reduce the value and the perception of it. And they hold it vacant, and their kids then come to Australia to study at university and things like that, and that's where they'll live. And then they'll just hold the property and they'll sell it for capital growth at a later date, right? And that's it. And so this is what's one of the things that has been discussed. It was raised in 2017. Like it's been raised consistently over a number of years. Even if that is as bad as what they're saying, we're still talking maybe 100,000 properties in existence.
That still doesn't put more houses out there. We need to, at
if
the
you
end of the
force
day,
them,
we need to actually
we need to build more
houses.
So, but if you force them to pay more tax, it's still a better return. That capital growth is still a better return.
It's still cheaper than what they would be paying. Because when I went to Beijing a couple of years ago, it worked out that for a 2-bedroom apartment near the now completely vacant, rundown Olympic area that they had or have in Beijing, it was something stupid. It was like, I think it worked out to be around, and you have to remember, like their apartments over there are so tiny.
Oh, they're small. So the average dwelling size in Australia, I found that while we were researching this stuff, is about 88 square meters, and over there it's 33.
Yeah.
So you're talking nearly 3 times the size. So of course it makes sense. The capital growth is significantly better.
Well, it ended up being something like $5,000 a month for this tiny apartment.
No, it makes sense.
You look at it and you just sort of go, well, of course they're going to be going, well, if I can pay $5,000 and I've got twice a bigger area, I'm laughing.
Well, and that's the thing. It makes sense. It makes sense from an investment point of view. And that's what the government's trying to address. But the taxes that they're bringing in, it's not like there's a lot of commentary stating that it's not going to truly cause people to put properties back on the market.
Yeah.
Right. The narrative, and this is a narrative that I find interesting, is the government agency Housing Australia says that we're going to have an undersupply over the next 5 years of 100,000 houses. Now, you and I know that that is a gross underestimation. And we've talked about that on the podcast before, because we know that based on their immigration targets of 600 to 700,000 people in the next 12 months, just based on the last census, we know we need 250,000 houses to house just those people alone, let alone the ones, let alone everyone who's moving out, marriages that are breaking up, people that are wanting to get their own house in Australia, all that sort of stuff, right? And the standard demand. We're only producing houses at a rate of 120,000 a year. So as it stands, we're going to be short 150, 200, maybe even more thousand houses a year, not this 100,000 over the next 5 years.
There's also another topic that we need to cover as well, which does link into this, that there is a significant amount of people from all age brackets moving in with older generation.
Yep.
So whether that's uncle and aunt who have a bigger house and, or parents that are moving in with them because A, they can't find a property, or B, they can't find a property to buy, or they can't find somewhere to rent.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're just going, look, what can we do here? Can we move in with you because we're needing somewhere to live?
And that's going to increase. So one of the interesting things that came about on that is people are talking, and a lot of the pros and the media commentators are talking about having to densify our urban sprawl. So build up rather than out, but that's a topic for
That's another time.
That's next week. I think we talk about some bold predictions in that.
Yeah.
Look, I think I'd love to see a foreign buying ban in Australia for a short period of time.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Like, there's a lot of this measure doesn't go far enough, and it doesn't address the problem. The biggest issue I have with this measure is that it's not addressing the problem as a whole. And it's kind of becoming a lightning rod for people, and in the media and that as well, to go, look, we're solving the problem. We're not. It's a tiny piece of the problem. It is part of the problem. Let's not lose focus on the fact there are many pieces to this problem. Let's not scapegoat foreign buyers because they're not at fault here, right? They just took advantage of the system as anybody would. The scapegoat, or the organisation, the entity, the group that is at fault is the government because they allowed things to get this far and they didn't put things in place. That said, this will have some small effect on reducing demand.
Yeah.
Okay, and demand from outside.
Yeah.
So that is a positive, and I look, I see the positive, and it's a good thing that we're seeing some measures from the government, right, that are actually addressing the demand. Because what we've jumped up and down about on previous episodes is we've talked about like the first home grants and everything like that. They're all well and good, but they don't increase supply, and it only increases demand, which actually exacerbates the problem.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should get rid of them because first home buyers should get help, and I'm supportive of that. But we haven't seen policy that addresses demand. This does address demand. Yes, it addresses a tiny, tiny part of the demand, but hey, that's a start. Let's not get fooled into the black and white lightning rod. This is the be all and end all. It's not the be all and end all. Let's absolutely continue to hold the government and state governments and federal governments accountable for the housing crisis and ensure that they don't just stop at this measure.
Yeah. So I think we've gone through everything. Look at you. Look at us. We're on time.
Holy Jeebus, what happened? Oh, by the way, one quick thing.
I lie.
So Victoria, with there's hundreds of thousands of properties being estimated in short stay accommodation, Airbnb stays, that sort of thing, right? To address that issue and try and get those put back on the market, two different state governments in this country have taken two different approaches.
Yep.
Victoria's put vacant land tax on it, applying extra tax to Airbnb. We've done an episode on that and talked about it. WA has offered a $10,000 incentive for if you currently own a short stay accommodation and you convert that to a 12-month lease, you can get up to 10 grand for that first year, which is an extra $200 a week in rent if you break it down like that. So mad props to those governments. They're looking at ways to alleviate the demand through that short stay accommodation aspect.
Well, when you look at it, if you've got a new build and you put someone into that new build and you've got that 10,000 incentive, that's a nice little chunk that's been taken off.
It's a nice little chunk. So, look, you and I've jumped up and down about it in various ways for, what are we at, 37 episodes now.
And we do have another topic as well. That just reminded me.
Yeah, we do. But, look, the current government, the Labor government currently, look, and I'm not Labor or Liberal, I'm a swinging voter. I go with who I think's got the best policies at that time of the election for this country as a whole. But what I will say is the issue that has landed in Labor's lap is not of Labor's making. It is 100% Liberal government's fault, or for this housing crisis and that sort of thing. Their inaction over the last decade has...
No, because over the last decade there has also been Labor.
I think you'll find since 2013 it's been Liberal.
You might want to go and check that.
You've got your phone right there.
Do you know how I know this?
How do you know this?
Because I worked with the federal government.
Oh God, it's just the last government was so traumatic. It felt like it was 10 years in.
Okay. So on that note, though, do people really want me to go through this?
I want you to go through it. We'll play the intro. Let's go to JTMs and we'll update in the JTM.
Let's see which rabbit holes we're going down in this episode. It's time for JTM. It's J-Thought Moment. It might be drinking whiskey, pot, work, smoking beer, podcasting, story writing, treasure hunting, you name it. What's really grinds my gears, singing, playing TV shows. As you can see, nothing's off limit. It's JTM, J-Thought Moment. JTM. What will be his next shiny object? JTM. It's time for this week's J-Thought Moment.
Man, she's the slowest Googler ever.
No, I've got it here.
What is it?
So, it changed in 2016.
Right, so we had
to Liberal.
From Labor.
Previously, it was Labor.
Who was in power in 2016?
Julia.
Ugh. All right. Well, both in that case, both sides of government have led us to this point. Hold them all accountable. Bugger them all.
Look, it's not just the past 10 years. This thing has been in the making.
This has been brewing for 25, 30 years.
Literally, I'm pretty sure it was an issue even when I was in high school, which is going back many moons. Turn of the century, people.
It wasn't a housing crisis. Like we've only been in crisis for
there were still shortages. Like, to turn around and say there hasn't ever been a shortage.
I'm not saying there hasn't ever been a shortage, but what I'm saying is the problem was nowhere near, and the shortage, it was nowhere near what we're seeing now.
Yeah. Oh God, no.
Right, in the early noughties, so late 90s, early noughties, and keep in mind, like, I graduated 1998. So I was going out into rental markets and things like that. I was then going out into purchasing markets shortly after. And there was never an issue or a fear that you were going to miss out.
Yeah.
Right? And that you weren't going to be able to find a home. So, that is a recent phenomena since the recovery of the GFC. Because it wasn't the case in the GFC either. Anyway, what's that JTM?
It is the year that was. And now that you've gone and made me look, now I can't find the actual thing that I was going to use. Hold on. I think I do.
We're organised.
I think I was proactive. I was proactive.
I hope you were proactive.
Okay, so news events.
Oh God! All right, I don't watch the news. I go and
research. No, but I can tell you right now there is two that
Let's
three.
Go. Come on, let's do it.
Okay, the top one for 2023.
The top what? News event.
News event.
The death of Queen Elizabeth.
Nope. Believe it or not, that didn't even... this is Google searches that people have gone and put in.
The top event
it
for
actually
2023.
Technically happened only recently, and there was many people outraged by it.
Oh, God, that's just every day. I mean, it depends on
no,
what
I can understand
why.
We were fine, but there was many
Is this globally or just Australia?
Just Australia.
Just Australia.
Many people who were outraged from it, and there had been many people make memes, GIFs, reels, stories about this particular thing, and literally all of Australia was like, oh no.
Oh, Fantail's been cancelled.
Look, it would be up there, but no, it was the Optus outage.
Oh, screw Optus. Who cares? That's why I've been with Vodafone on Telstra. I've never been with Optus.
And another one.
No shortage of Fantails around here.
Another one was something that happened to a thing in the sea.
A thing in the sea.
Yep, you were all over this. You were watching it from day dot. You're like, how is that scientifically possible?
Oh, was that the BP oil rig and it was on fire in the ocean?
No. Where you were like, it was just like a tin can. Just imploded.
Oh, of course. Yeah. The what's it sub? The billionaire's friggin' PlayStation controller controlled sub.
That was actually number 6 on the most Google. So Optus overtook a submarine.
Yeah, that's because 11 million people got scammed.
Well, yeah.
The 11 million data records got stolen or whatever it was.
Then the next one is the war in Israel and Gaza.
Yeah, of course. We're not touching that one.
No.
We do not know enough about the politics of that area to have any opinion whatsoever.
Look, all I know is that war is bad.
War is bad, peace is good.
Yeah.
Sort your shit
Then
out.
the next one is the referendum results.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. That was an interesting one. Look, I'm glad of the result because the way I went through and I read the constitutional amendment and the way that it was written, there were no checks and balances. There was no guarantee that the voice was going to be made up of Indigenous people. Like, yes, that was in the marketing and that's what the Yes campaigners put. But when you went and read the constitutional amendment, it was so open that I could have been appointed the voice, and I'm the whitest white guy in history. And then I could have gone and appointed my mates. And so it was so rife for manipulation, in my opinion, that it was like writing a politician a blank check. And so I was very relieved because I think our politicians have had enough blank checks written for them over the last 3 years, and I don't think they've done enough with the power that we gave them through COVID and the things that we agreed. I don't think collectively they did enough or behaved in a way that warrants our blind trust with a constitutional amendment that is so wide open they could literally do whatever the hell they wanted with it. And it was a case of, oh, it's all good, just trust us. We'll write the legislation for each of the individual things later. And so, yeah.
I just don't like thinking that, you know, the Indigenous people aren't truly being represented.
And
within
that
our
was, and
parliament.
that's it. Like, I felt that was going to allow
But I
old
feel
white
that
guys to use the
I-
Indigenous issue to do whatever the hell they wanted.
I don't want Indigenous people to all the First Nations people is what we should be saying.
Sorry, First Nations people, yes.
That, you know, that we're talking out of term. Like,
Yep, no, and fair enough. Look, I get it. I'm the poster boy for white privilege.
The next one is Andrew Tate.
Sorry, that's the poster boy for white privilege. Oh dear, Andrew Tate.
So those are the top 4. The submarine was 6. An earthquake in Melbourne beat the submarine.
Yeah, that's because it's more relevant to us as Australians.
Yeah.
And an earthquake in Melbourne doesn't seem like a common event, really.
Well, yeah.
I mean, earthquakes in Australia don't seem
it's-
like. I mean, I'm Aussie born, but I spent my first 10 years in New Zealand. Earthquakes were just every other day.
that's just normal.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Australians, who do you think are in the top 3 for Google searches in Australia?
I want to say Magna Zubanski, but I know that.
No, why would she be in it?
I don't know.
I don't have a problem with Magna. Like, she's awesome, but why
don't know.
was she being
I don't
Google
know.
searched this year? What did she do?
I don't know. Someone just says Australian that's being Googled, and the first name that always pops into my head is Magna. And I think it's because it's such an unusual name. It's just like, you know, any
Well,
port in
I'll
store.
tell you the first one is Sam Kerr.
Oh, the legend Sam Kerr. Of course, because, you know, the Aussie women's soccer team, 4th in the World Cup, highest ever result for an Australian football team, soccer team, whatever you want to call it, in any World Cup, men's, women's, or otherwise. Incredible result. I feel like I jinxed them, though, because when I started watching, they started to lose, and then I'd turn it off, and then they'd win.
Yeah.
So
And the next one is Mary Fowler. I know that you're going, who? What?
she's one of the Australian female soccer players, isn't she?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you know where she's playing?
She at Chelsea?
Well, she's in the English Women's
in
Super
the-
League.
in the-
Yep,
yep.
Manchester.
Manchester, right. Because,
Yeah.
no, Sam Kerr's at Chelsea?
I don't know.
A couple of the ladies are at Chelsea.
I'm sorry, people. I am not a soccer fan, so you know, don't hate me. It's great that they've got through, and I'm proud that they have done what they have achieved. That's amazing. But when it comes to soccer, like I genuinely
I only
don't
started
care.
following English soccer when Welcome to Wrexham. I watched the Welcome
Yeah,
to
that
Wrexham.
was weird.
And I watched. I'm now a Wrexham supporter, because I can connect to that team. Because I've tried for
you love
years.
Deadpool, you have
I
a
love
man
Ryan
crush
Reynolds.
on Ryan.
Oh, who doesn't? Move over, Blake Lively. I'm coming for you, man. But
So
no,
look, we know that he has a thing for blondes, so
look,
you could be in.
All my mates would watch Premier League and they'd be talking it up and that, and I'd try and watch. And I remember I tried to watch like Man City versus Stoke the year after Man City won the Premiership. And I remember walking away from watching that game. I can't watch this. Like Man City,
You were like, I tried.
the
I really tried.
most expensive team in history. That was like at the time $278 million on the field, and at any given time, and they had 22 shots at goal, and only 2 of them were on target. And I was like, if I'm getting paid that kind of money, and I've got one job, and that is to kick the ball at the goal, I need to be better than accurate 10% of the time.
But you think about it. I had 22 shots at something. My chances of getting 22
You've
shots...
got more chance of being more accurate if you're blindfolded. So, and I walked away from it, and
Sorry,
I went,
soccer players will be
I can't
hanging
do
on
it.
you.
I can't do it. I can't watch this. And then, of course, Welcome to Wrexham came along. And I went, well, it's Ryan Reynolds. He's brought us, so I'll check it out because it's Ryan Reynolds. 100%. I went, I'll check it out because it's Deadpool. It's Ryan Reynolds, right?
Sweet.
And in all honesty, like, it's a really well put together documentary. But then you got to know the players, and at the same time, they were in the bottom professional league.
Yeah, you got to understand how the league actually
Absolutely.
works.
But because they're in the bottom professional league, you also didn't have this expectation that they would be able to be more than 10% accurate, right? Which they are, by the way. They're so much more accurate than that Man City team I watch. And so you start to get to know the players, and they're ordinary blokes who are just trying to do their best and trying to make careers and all that sort of stuff. And then you watch them progress, and suddenly you're hooked in, and next thing you know, we don't get to watch the games here in Australia, but I'm sitting on Google going, what are the latest Wrexham results, and seeing what they're going. And I know which games are coming up, and
So the next one, surprise, surprise, is Michael Clark.
Clarkey. Oh, that's right. Did he get in a blue this year?
Yeah, with his now.
Was it with
ex-wife?
Carl Stefanovic and him?
No.
Didn't Carl step in?
He stepped
in
with
to
his
try and-
fiance.
Yeah,
to try and calm everything down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it got heated, and his I'm guessing now ex-wife pretty much went. You can sit on it and rotate. I'm done.
Wasn't the rumor that he was fooling around or something? Yeah.
That'll do it.
Look.
Okay,
Pup's
so
a national treasure.
People who we have lost this year.
Right.
Who do you think?
The latest one.
Yep.
Captain Holt. I know not Australian, but Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, yes. He
Andre
yes.
Brunner or whatever his name.
Yes, but you have to remember that this is Google searched.
Yep. No, I get that. But no, we lost Captain Holt. We obviously lost Matthew Perry. Are you talking just Australians or celebrities?
No,
across
this is...
everyone?
Yep.
We lost Matthew Perry, so Chandler from Friends.
Mm-hmm. There's another one that she sung a song which ended up being the theme song for the Broncos back in the 90s.
Oh, Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
then,
that wasn't the theme song for the Broncos. That was the theme. That was the,
NRL.
for the entire ARL back, because it was the ARL when they did it, and it was simply the best. Yeah.
There was another person who passed away, and nothing compares to her.
Oh, I want to say Tina Turner again, but we've just covered. Nothing compares. Oh, I know it. It's like, it's not Sheryl Crow. It's
no, God, no, it's not. Sheryl Crow.
It's like, but she fits in the same category in my mind, in my filing system in my mind. Like Tina Turner. Like,
do you want me to
Sheryl Crow.
give you her surname? O'Connor.
Now I just want to go Sarah O'Connor.
It starts with an S.
Sinead O'Connor.
Yes.
Did she die?
Yeah.
Did we lose
Welcome
Sinead?
to 2023. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know we lost. Actually, I vaguely remember now. But
and another one who is very dear to not just Australian comedy, but also New Zealand comedy as well.
Dame Edna Everage. Didn't we lose Barry Humphries?
Yes, we did. But this particular person, she was very well known for Thank God You're Here.
No. Never watched
and
it.
Spicks and Specks.
No, that's more your alley, Spicks and Specks.
Carl Wilson.
Oh yeah, no, I was never guessing that. I didn't even. That name was not even in my filing system.
And
But may she
then,
rest in peace.
then we also had another person, who her father was extremely famous, who had passed away when she was only a little girl.
Oh,
His dad.
Lisa Marie.
Yeah.
Lisa Marie Presley.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
passed away too.
She dropped dead at like 52 or something ridiculous. Way
Yeah.
too young. Yeah.
There was a couple of, and I'm really sorry for people that, in case I am just, I apologise. Ken Block, Johnny Ruffo,
no.
why did I,
The name rings a bell, but I couldn't. I
and
can't place it.
Angus Cloud.
No. Oh, Angus Cloud, is he like AC/DC?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Oh no, American actor.
American actor.
From Fezco.
I believe it.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Sorry again to those people who are all over that. I wasn't clearly one of those people that.
And what a way to finish the ad. That's just depressing.
No,
hey,
I
these are all the
haven't
people
finished
that. All right,
yet.
good. Because I'm like, these are all the people that died. Let's finish some good news. Has we got some puppies or something?
Ken Block was actually an American rally driver. So those are the people that we had sadly lost this year. Movies. What do you think the movies are from 2023?
Hang on. Excuse me. Oh, Top Gun Maverick was awesome.
Well, you're going to be very sad. It hasn't even made the top 10.
Maybe was that 2022? Maybe has it been a year since I've seen Top Gun Maverick?
I really don't know, but continue.
Oh dear. I mean, there was the Marvels, but we didn't see that. Barbie movie. That was actually good.
That was top 2.
That was top 2. Barbie movie was really good. I enjoyed that. It was just an absolute piss take on society as a whole. And it made it even more funny how triggered people were by it.
Oh, absolutely.
That was my favorite part. And the absolute dripping sarcasm all throughout it. Oppenheimer.
Yep, that was number 1.
Yep, not surprised. So the Oppenheimer Barbie combo.
Come on, you love this dude.
Yeah, but it's that time and date.
You have the biggest man crush on this dude. Like I'm pretty sure that him on your list would actually overtake Ryan.
Okay.
And
I mean,
I have a crush where I have already said, look, if he was to walk in the room and say, take me right now, Siarn, I would be like, yep, all right, sorry, baby, love you, but bye.
Keanu Reeves, John Wick.
Yeah.
No, John Wick doesn't overtake Ryan. Ryan's above.
Really?
Yeah. Ryan's above John Wick. I like John Wick because of the trauma and the shit that I've been through in my life. I would love to just
his
post
training though is pretty remarkable, and given his
absolutely
age, holy
mad
shit.
respect. I would just, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. Anyone who's been through shit, who's been through trauma and battled and got their head back to good and
You're
has
just
done
like,
good things.
I wish I could do that to
you
people.
just some days you sit there and you go, you know what? In a post-apocalyptic world, I would love to just go and wreak havoc.
So that was number 4. So number 3 was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, and I didn't see that. That there was a book called Incredibly Loud and Extremely Close, or Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, and that was all about the sensory challenges of basically having a spectrum brain, a neurospicy brain. And so when I read that title, I didn't want to go anywhere near it because I just felt I'd be triggered due to sensory overload like that. And I know that's probably not the case, that it's got nothing to do with it.
I can't say that I've seen anything
But
about
the title of the movie just made me go, you know what? I'm good. I'll leave that one. Hope everyone enjoys it.
Okay. So this next topic is recipes. The most Googled recipes for 2023 in Australia.
I'm just trying to think what my most Googled are. I mean, but then again, I've been teaching like the boys in the fantasy football group. I've been teaching them how to smoke meats and barbecue and stuff. So, I mean,
You wouldn't know this one. The first one up is Coronation Quiche.
whatever.
The next one is Grimace Shake.
Zero interest. Zero interest. You're not in barbecue. This is pointless.
This one, number 4, is actually the CWA, so the Country Women's Association Anzac biscuit recipe.
Okay, I'll come back in the room for Anzac Bickies. But let's get to barbecue. Come on.
The next one is you will be all over this like mustard. Is lamb stew.
It's not barbecue. See,
next one.
I'd expect there to be some sort of like, bourbon glazed ham or something like that in there.
The next one is porn star martinis.
I'm disappointed in you, Australia.
Do you know what?
We're at 6 and there's no barbecue recipes.
I have one for you. I have never heard of this before. Marry me chicken.
Whatever.
Like, what is that?
It's chicken so good you want to marry me. Like, but it just... Where's the barbecue, Australia? We are the nation of barbecue. And... No.
Okay.
I'm calling this rigged.
Okay, so the top 3 sports Googles of 2023.
Cricket, AFL, NRL.
No.
No, soccer, cricket, AFL.
No. The top 2 are the same, just different things within that sport. I know that you're going, how can you have 2 the same but not... Same, but different as far as I'm concerned. The first one is the Cricket World Cup.
Oh, okay. We're talking events, not sports.
And
so I was right because I said cricket.
Well, no, because the next one is the Ashes.
Yeah, the Ashes. That's cricket.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. It's 2 different things, but it's from the one sport.
Yeah, but you were saying what sports were the most Googled, and so I said cricket.
And then the third is the Women's World Cup.
Okay, so cricket and soccer.
Yep.
Yep, that makes sense.
So that...
Man, I can't wait for the next Ashes series.
Is the world...
What's the score in the cricket right now?
I don't care. It's not going to be found in my Google searches.
There's no love, no respect.
There is love and there is respect, but it's definitely not.
It draws the line at cricket.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll catch you next week. Make sure you tune in. We're jumping through a whole bunch of media property predictions for 2024. And then the week after, we're going to tell you our property predictions. So January 2nd, you'll be hopefully tuning in. Not too much of a hangover. And we'll let you know what we expect to see in 2024. And then you can as the year goes on, compare, take some notes,
see if we're wrong.
Compare back. So let's see what our strike rate is.
Okay, peace out.